Take a seat.
Did you notice, if you think of those three criteria, number one, he had really been paying attention to her. He had been paying attention to her, he understood her, and he acted out of that with congruence, meaning that he understood her and he let her know, and he could tell her everything about the kids, everything about the family, all about her likes, her dislikes, what it was like. And I'll tell you, is so attractive. If, again, the most powerful attracting element you have in a relationship, and this is work as well as family, as friends, as love relationships, and that is your interest and your energy. If you pay attention to somebody, you know, they say that which we pay attention to gets our interest and grows. If you pay attention to something, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's sort of the good news and the bad news. You know, if a child has a behavior that you don't like, the more attention you pay to it, usually the more he does it, or the more she does it. So paying attention is extremely important. And then secondly, knowing and understanding someone, and then letting that person know that you've been paying attention. Letting them know that you understand. Now, there's one more thing I want to share with you before our tea break, and it comes from one of the books I wrote called The Truth About Love. By the way, we tried to get the books so we could have them here, but to no avail. We weren't able to. But if you go on my website, which is simply patlove.com, that's my website. It's at the bottom of all your handouts. You can access any of my books. It'll take you straight to Amazon. But I want to talk about this because this is a big obstacle that people often don't understand that keeps you from being in a relationship, or if you are in a relationship, can keep that relationship from being happy. So this is one more concept I want to share with you, and it's often quicker for me to read it than to tell you about it. And this comes under the heading of fear of connection. Some people are afraid to be in a relationship. Did you ever meet anybody that really is sort of afraid of being in a relationship? You know this person liked you or loved you, but they just couldn't commit, or they couldn't be close, or they couldn't get close. Well, that happens quite often, and it might be happening to you. And let me tell you what it might look like. The most common fear of connection is caused by, see if you could guess this, fear of getting what you want. Now that sounds a little crazy, doesn't it? But let me explain. When you really want something and long for it, as we all do for connection or love, it becomes a painful subject. To go without love or connection is uncomfortable because we are designed to be in close relationships. It is more in the nature of our species. The longer you go without connection, the more you begin to associate closeness or connection with pain. Once you begin to associate connection with pain, the closer you get to someone, the more uncomfortable you feel. So even if you want to get close, when you try, you feel uncomfortable. This discomfort makes you resist the very thing you long for. You can probably think of times when you were your own worst enemy in a relationship, when you spoiled an intimate moment or got very close to letting yourself be vulnerable, then pulled away. No doubt you have also seen this pattern in other people. The fear of getting what you want is part of a concept known as reunion grief. It's a complex psychological process that frequently thwarts the course of true love. Reunion grief has several facets. As stated, when you finally get something you've wanted for a long time, your anxiety goes up because your psyche associates it with pain. In order to get past this fear and onto good feelings, you first have to override your brain telling you, don't go there, it's painful. After you get through this first hurdle, accepting what you have longed for, the phenomenon of your reunion grief is not over. Once you have the courage to step across the line and let yourself be loved, the longing ends, but the grief begins. For many of us, when you finally get someone in your life that really loves you and really cares for you, it can be so scary that you go numb, you go blank, you get irritated with that person, you push them away, or you ignore them. Does this make sense at all? Have you ever seen this where a simple way of saying it is sometimes you resist the most that which you need the most. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies in relationships because I say I want you to come close, I say I want you to be my friend, but when you try to be my friend, I get anxious, probably because of my past or something that's happened to me in my past, and I push you away. So this is why I say, make a list, be clear about what you're looking for, and go forward seeking that thing that you're looking for, the love that you want, no matter how it feels. Because getting what you want often feels initially uncomfortable. Does that make sense at all? So sometimes getting what you want really, you think you're going to be happy about it, but when it finally shows up, you're not happy at all, and it doesn't make sense to you. So that's why you have to hang in there with relationships. That's why matchmakers often tell you, go out with someone several times before you make a decision. Unless they're a jerk, then of course don't go out with them, But somebody who's a nice guy or a nice girl or somebody that, you may not knock your socks off the first time you meet them, but you might give them time because over time you'll find that your defenses are lowered and you'll let somebody love you. Remember the story about Sonny and Mark? Even though she wrote a script and asked him to do it, when he did it, she resisted. You often resist the most that which you need the most, because the biggest challenge in love is not to find the right partner, but once you find someone, to have the courage to let someone love you. Do you have the courage to let someone love you? Do you have the courage to let someone in your life?
Take a seat.